If you enjoy nature, if you enjoy humanity, if you enjoy making change in the way you do business, and if you enjoy adventure, you're going to enjoy this conversation with Heather Hansen O'Neill. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the elements of adventure. Hello, and welcome to a new episode of the Business of Meeting podcast. Today, I have a rock star or a dancer star or a speaker star. I don't know what I should say because she's an international keynote speaker, a behavioral expert. She's got 2 TEDx speaker, 3 times author, and she is an adventure junkie. We're going to talk about adventure. We're going to talk about her life. We're going to talk about her program, The Element of Adventure. And most importantly, we're going to talk about what it is to have vision, focus, discipline, and how she learned that. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Heather Hansen O'Neill. Heather, how are you?
I am fantastic, Eric. I need to carry you around in my pocket and just announce me wherever you go.
I can try the sports way. Ladies and gentlemen, live from Florida today, please welcome Heather Hansen O'Neill.
Awesome. That's so funny. That's great.
But everything I said is just a little, not only is it true, but it's just a little bit of who you are and what you've done. So why don't we start with, or the beginning, or at least go back to how did you learn about the discipline? How did you learn about all your professionalism? And then how did you get into this industry and became a professional speaker?
Oh my goodness, Eric, you're taking me back quite a ways. I have been in business for over 25 years now.
Wow.
So we're going to go back before that because oddly, I learned most of what I used to be successful prior to starting my business. And I started dancing professionally at 13. They would take me out of my school and pay me to go dance at other schools and talk about dance and all that's required as a dancer. I will tell you that I am blessed to have been able to follow that passion and to be able to make a living at it for a good many years. But it's also not easy. It is so not easy for anyone who has ever done it. It requires you to push outside of your comfort zone in every possible way. Physically, emotionally, mentally, it's a lot. And I wouldn't change any of it because it's made me who I am, all the good stuff and all of the bad parts of it too. And I say bad parts because the ending was challenging. I had a little bit of a dramatic ending to my dance career. Is actually at the height of my career when I had an injury during a rehearsal that one of my doctors told me I would never dance again. And that was its own bullness. But I'll get to that. Let's go further back first. The things that I learned that make me successful in business came from the discipline of dance, getting up and dancing for hours and hours and hours. I didn't have a traditional school like high school. Well, first of all, I went half a day to a performing arts school, but even before that, I never did I'm going to go out and party with my friends thing. I didn't do a lot of the other extracurricular activities because as soon as I finished with my classes, my general class, I would go take a bus to the dance studio and I would rehearse and I would work at the front desk while I was doing my homework so that I could help my parents pay for these said classes. And that was literally every day. And then when I started performing, there were obviously the rehearsals and performances on top of that. And it was an incredible journey. I mean, even when I moved out at 17. I moved to New York City to dance when I was 19. And today, the idea of I have boys who my twins are 21 and my oldest just turned 23. And the idea of them moving out to New York City at 19, like it's not the same world that it was, I get, and so a lot of things that I learned. So I don't want to keep going on and on about it, but I will tell you that I wouldn't, like I said, I wouldn't trade any of it, any of it.
So one of my niece is a professional dancer.
Fabulous.
And
So
the
she gets it.
amount of energy and discipline and focus And quite frankly, you have to give up on other things to be able to sacrifice
You
to
do.
do that.
Hmm.
And yes, an injury can change the entire. It's exactly the same as a professional athlete, which it is.
Yes.
But you said that you start dancing professionally at 13.
Yes. Yeah.
How is it like? Was it your parents who were pushing you there, or was it something inside of you saying, "Oh, that's what I want to be doing, and I'm going to do it professionally"?
Okay. Well, the funny thing about me, you may know this, Eric, but your listeners may not yet. I don't like being told what to do, and I don't think I've ever liked being told what to do.
Yeah.
And so my mom wanted me to start taking dance when I was like 4. And I was like stomping my feet. I don't want to dance. I don't want to dance. And then all of a sudden, I think I was 8, and I said to my mom, maybe, you know what, maybe I'll go dance. And she takes me to this one class, and I left the class and I said, no. And she goes, oh, you don't want to dance anymore, honey? And I said, no, I don't want to dance there anymore. I couldn't take her seriously. Can you put me in a more serious dance school?
Wow.
And that was the end of me. And it was like every day after that, I was obsessed. Yeah. And just to go back to the ending, because I kind of glossed over that part, the ending of my dance career.
I was going there, but please, by all
Oh,
means.
sorry.
No,
Yeah,
no,
it
no,
was.
don't be. The reason I was going there is because the passion with which you do everything and the passion with which you describe the dance, it's any business owner need to have that passion.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so not every project succeed. Gosh, know how many mistakes I've done in my life and things that I've started didn't work
Mm,
and others, thank God, work very well.
yeah.
And when you are putting all your heart and your energy and then something happened, and that's why I wanted to ask you about the end of the dancing part of your life.
Well, okay. We'll call it the end, but there's actually a nicer ending to the real end of the story. So,
Great.
yeah, so at I was almost 25, and like I said, I was at the height of my career, and when they told me that I wouldn't dance again, I listened. And then I went into this funk, and I went about my life. I went back to school because I had given up for college scholarships to
Oh,
dance
wow.
because in a part of me knew that it wasn't a career that has a lot of longevity to it. And so everybody's like, you're never going to go back to school. And I knew that I would because I know who I am. Right. And so I did. I went back to school. I got a job because I had to pay for school. They didn't want to throw money at me anymore. And so I lived my life, but there was something missing, not having that passion, not having that thing that I defined myself, right? It was very difficult. And then I started to ask myself, what if the doctor wasn't right? What if he was wrong?
So
And then
you
that
ask
one
a
hit
second
me.
opinion.
Yeah, yeah, no. So that nagging thought, it would wake me up in the middle of the night. And
Of course.
so, yes, I did get other opinions, and no, I couldn't dance on point anymore. However, I could dance. And the end of the story that I said that was happier, I dance to this day. I dance with people I could have given birth to. Like I dance with people who are much younger than myself. But I love it, and it brings me so much joy.
Mhm.
Why would I give something up that brings me so much joy? And doing that makes me better at
Mhm.
everything else that I do. And
Mhm.
so I encourage anyone who is has given up a part of themselves that they love to look at that again.
And in the continuation of that idea is to not only to rely on one opinion. I love the concept of a personal board of advisors, which are
Yes.
friends from different
Mhm.
background that you can ask opinion. Obviously, when it comes to health, I always like to have two or three different opinions. But even in business, and obviously at the end of the day, you'll make your own decision. So that's what you did.
Right, but I love the board of advisors too because Eric, it's brilliant. We go about our lives thinking that we know what's best for us, and ultimately we do. We're the ones who have to assimilate all of the information and make those decisions. However, if we stay limited in our perspective, we miss out on so much of other people's viewpoints and expertise and experience.
Absolutely. You join the meetings and event industry as a speaker. You became a speaker. You make it sound like stop dancing and then I became
Oh,
a speaker,
no.
right?
There were
So
some things in the middle.
so tell us about the thing in the middle that basically form and train the person you are today.
Okay. So I went into sales when I went back to school. I went into sales because it was the most flexible way for me to make money and put myself through college.
Mm.
And I happen to love it, and I happen to be fairly good at it. And I will tell you a little secret that one of the things that I teach when I am training salespeople, it has came from dance. So when you are dancing and you're going out to auditions and you're auditioning with 2,000 other people and there's two roles open, you learn how to handle rejection and you learn how to shift it so that you don't take it personally. And I'll tell you, it's
Mm.
been super helpful when it comes to sales. So I went into sales, and one day I was golfing with one of my clients, my favorite, best client. And I told him about this idea that I had to improve the sales and service in the organization. And he was like, gosh, I love this. This is great. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to bring it up to them. I did once before. They weren't quite ready for it, but I'm sure that I'll get them to do something. And he said, no. And I think it was about the 15th hole. He said, nope. He goes, you're a fireball. You have to start your own business. I'll be your first paying client. If you do a great job for me, I'll tell everybody. And if you don't do a good job, I won't tell anybody.
Ah!
Okay. I was like, "You could do that? You could just start your own business?" I didn't come from, a family of entrepreneurs. I
Right.
didn't know you could just do that. And I did, and I am making light of it. There was a lot of time and energy and creation of everything that I did to make him realize, "Hey, this was really good and I should tell everybody." But that's how my business started.
Mm.
And I was doing more sales and customer service training, and I was traveling all over the country for it. And then I went back and got my coaching certification when I wanted to start my family, and then wrote a couple of books and then got into speaking. And so the speaking came later. I was in business for about 10 years before I really started doing keynote presentations.
Right. So obviously you were training people, so
Yes.
that's you train you're used to speak in public. Somebody said if you want to become a speaker, you have two options. The first one, you land a plane on the Hudson, or you speak and speak and speak.
That's brilliant. I love it. I completely agree. You have to speak and speak and speak. I guess part of that performance quality comes in, but I'll tell you that that actually was a detriment to me because I thought, okay, the good part that I took from dancing is that I love to make people feel. I love to watch audience members that I could see cry. Like I know that makes me sound weird, but I love to make people feel. So that I take into speaking very well. But the other part is that this feeling of it has to be perfect. It has to be exactly at the right timing and the right intonation and all of that, and that was terrible for speaking for a long time because it was that feeling that it had to be perfect that put a wall up between me and my audience because they didn't make the connection with me that I now have. And the only reason I have that now is because I became vulnerable as a speaker. I broke the wall down. I started to talk about the mistakes that I made, the
Mm.
failures that I had, the journey to getting to where I was. The same thing
Right.
with, it's not just the successes. It's about all of the different things that you do wrong in order to learn the lessons to become successful. Right?
Yeah.
You know that.
Oh yeah. It's not
Yeah.
how many times you fall down. It's just one more time standing up and keep the fight. So you learn from that. You expose yourself, being vulnerable,
Mhm.
improve the skills. But you also coming to today and your keynote, the element of adventure. You are an adventure junkie, as you call yourself.
I am. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that and what type of adventure you like taking and when you decided to incorporate that into your speaking.
Okay, that's a really good question because I'll say I waited too long, meaning that it's so me, but yet it resonates with all of my clients, right? Because it's a framework. So, as far as my adventuring, I like to press my own boundaries. I like to, what I learned from dance, I said getting uncomfortable. I like to do that in every way possible. So, I jump out of airplanes, I fly on the trapeze, I swim with sharks, I eat fire, I do weird things on a regular basis. But that's my comfort zone. You don't have to do that. My clients don't have to do that. But I take the stories of the lessons that I learned in doing that and bring them into the keynote. And it
Mm,
has to do with having the individuals, the attendees, or the people in the workshops, or to have them extend themselves, right? To learn the adventure mindset, that willingness that we have to understand that there are limitless opportunities to create impact, and that when we expand our comfort zones, then we are able to become who we were meant to be, not just who we want to be, or to get a little better, or to get that next rung up the ladder, but to become who we were meant to be requires getting uncomfortable. And that's why I do it.
I always say that people will choose misery over uncertainty.
Yes, yes. People don't make a change if they're okay. They
Right.
make a change if they're in great pain.
So how do you entice the change, or that? How do you rather help change the mindset of your audience?
So part of that, so there's the adventure mindset that does begin with looking at the beliefs, the assumptions, and the judgments that we have that we may not even realize we have. And so when we can release the chains that bind us, right? Those belief systems that have been limiting us, that may have been passed down from generation to generation, when we can look at that and release those, then we create space for consciously choosing the strategies that are going to serve us and help us become who we were meant to be and get better and get the results that we want. But in addition to that adventure mindset, I have a framework that is based on the elements of nature. So there's, earth that has to do with purpose and values, and there's water that has to do with the ebb and flow of relationships, and there's air which infuses inspiration and creative solutions into an organization. There's fire that sparks productive right actions so that you can get those results, and it's all tied together by the heart of humanity. And
Mm,
so this framework that I created that comes with an assessment helps teams and leaders to be able to assess where everyone is on the team and then use it from a standpoint of, well, how can we appreciate the strengths that we have? How can we
mhm,
appreciate the diversity of our team? And how can we work together to optimize ourselves as a team to become more productive and profitable? And
mhm,
so the whole thing works together. It's a lot, but it works together beautifully, especially when you're working with a leader or a leadership team that understands they're doing a good job already. Usually, I'm working with an organization that's already doing a good job, but they know that in changing times, you have to drive change. You have to be ahead of it, right? You can't just wait, like you said,
right.
right? You can't just wait. And so, those are the people who typically get the most out of it.
Got it. When you're talking about the adventure mindset, I'm sure, and you're talking about the four element of nature, I'm sure that you're using a lot of example
Yeah, oh,
in
yes.
your keynote.
Yeah.
I'm very curious. What is, because you mentioned jumping out of a plane, swimming with sharks. What is your favorite adventure?
This is so hard. Eric, this is such a hard one because I love them all. You
Give
know
me
what?
three then.
No, I'm going to give you one because not just because I love it, but because of what I've seen people do when they do it. And let me
Mm,
explain. So, flying on the trapeze. I love flying on the trapeze. It was transformational for me. And what I found is that when you take someone through that process, they feel like they can do anything if they overcome that and fly on the trapeze. So I have it as my graduation ceremony for my 8-week Breaking Through Fear workshop. And so I take them on a field trip to go fly on the trapeze. And look at your eyes. It's so amazing. The people that have done that still, like from years ago, I started this years ago, they still send me notes saying, oh, I just started this new business or this new initiative, or I did this thing, or I'm giving back to the community, and I can only do it because I know now I can do anything because you made me fly on the trapeze. It's so much fun. You got to do it. Will you come with me next time, Eric?
It's funny. I have a friend, Sherry Walling, who's also been on the podcast. Amazing woman is speaking about mental health and
Oh.
psychology for entrepreneur. And she's also a fan of trapeze, and she
Really?
suggested that. And not really. Now, don't don't get me wrong. I totally get the idea of doing something totally out of your comfort zone. Say, if I can do that, that's why I bungee jump on the bridge between Zimbabwe and Zambia years ago. And I thought, if I can do that,
Yeah.
I'll be afraid of few things in my life or no fear.
You
Trapeze,
know that what you did, bungee jumping off of that bridge, was way more dangerous than flying on the trapeze, right? There's a net and the trapeze.
yeah,
Okay,
we'll see.
okay.
We'll see.
I'll work it out.
Heather, you also, and I like that the part of humanity that you're always
Mhm.
focusing on, and you said that in previous conversation that humanity plays a big role in the program you're doing. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Thank you, Eric, because this is where I bring the passion back in, right? I feel like whether it's in our amazing meeting and events industry or whether it's in any industry now, whether it's with organizations that are struggling to whether we bring people back or not, or, still this is going on, there's this still a pervading sense of isolation. Even as we come back, even as we connect with people, there's still this isolation and disconnection that is so prevalent now. And there's polarized viewpoints on things. And I believe, I used to think that I personally needed to make a difference in the world. And then I realized that the best way for me to make a difference in the world is to help other leaders
Mm,
make their impact on the world. I mean, that is so much better because when I can help them see that every time a leader does amazing things for their people, they support their people, they take care of their people,
mm,
and they take care of their customers. They care, they ask them what they need, they listen, they do right things there. And then they look at how they can move beyond profitability into how can what we do as an organization make a difference in our community and in our world? Amazing things happen. And the research that I did as I was creating this, I found that there's a correlation to the organizations that do that authentically, that
mm.
are doing right actions because they're right, not for the outcome. They end up with the outcome because people now want to support. They want to give their money. They want to be clients of people and companies who stand for something, who are
Absolutely.
doing something good. And that's what this is all about.
I love it. And it's interesting what you say about the loneliness and solitude, which is one of the
Yeah.
biggest modern disease. It's interesting that when actually, in my case, when I feel down, by helping others and focusing my energy on others, it's actually giving me more energy, if that makes sense.
It's the fastest way to turn around your state is to think beyond yourself. It fills you. And I know you do that, Eric. You are such a generous human being. You're so generous with your clients and with your friends. I know that you believe that. And that's one of the reasons that I like spending time with you.
Thank you. You also give a lot of tips for entrepreneurs
Mhm.
and how they can transform the way they do business. Transforming the business is one thing, but more importantly, transforming the way they do business. Can you share some? And I know that We can speak for hours. Obviously, the
We
time of the
could.
podcast is limited, but that would be great to end with some tips for entrepreneurs to transform the way they do business.
I believe that the majority of the entrepreneurs in the world became entrepreneurs because of one of two reasons: because they were passionate about something or because they were really good at something, right? And so they either wanted to make a difference or they wanted to share this thing or this product, the service that they really are good at and they know how to do well. I didn't mention that they're really good at business. That wasn't one of the primary reasons, right? And so I think that, and you are brilliant at this. One of the things that I would recommend for entrepreneurs to be able to transform their business is to take an honest microscope and look at, what do I do well? As entrepreneurs, when we start out, we are doing everything and we wear all of the hats. And some of the hats are gorgeous. They're in our color. They're beautiful. They make us look fabulous. And some of the hats are itchy. They're too big. They're too small. They're horrible. They look really bad. And what you want to do is look at, what are those things that I do better than anyone? And what are the things that I'm really not good at? Let me give those hats away. Let's keep the hats that I'm really good at and give away the hats as quickly as possible to the
Right.
things that, like for me, I hate doing invoicing. I hate doing bookkeeping, was the first thing I gave away, right? I don't like it. I'm not good at it. So I gave it to somebody who is really good at it and they like it. Imagine that. Everything changes. And I know it's simple, and I know people talk about this all the time, but entrepreneurs don't do it. They don't
Correct.
want to give up control.
Yep.
So my advice is, give up control so that you can actually make an impact.
Absolutely. And your example, which I like very much, outsourcing the accounting part doesn't mean that you are outsourcing the payment authorization, that you're
Oh,
giving
no.
away your bank account, and
No,
that
no,
you're
no, no,
not
no, no. That is
that
not
you're
what I
not
mean.
watching the numbers with
Yes.
the account.
Yes. Sending out the invoices, not pocketing them.
Exactly. Exactly. Heather, I have two last questions for today. The
Okay.
first one, how do people get in touch with you?
Oh, that's an easy one. So Heather Hansen O'Neill everywhere. And people ask me all the time, can I just put in Heather Hansen? Sure, but there's another Heather Hansen who does something similar. Could I just put in Heather O'Neill? Sure, but you'll get another Heather O'Neill who does something similar. So please, if you'd like to reach me, put in Heather Hansen O'Neill for my website, for LinkedIn, for everything.
Wonderful. And my last question, you never know who's listening.
That's true.
So, what would be a personal dream of yours and a professional dream of yours that if anyone listening wants to help you, they can reach out? What would be a dream that we can help you achieve?
Eric, I don't talk about this and I should. Oh my gosh, I'm going to. I never talk about this, but I'm going to do it on your show. Several years ago, when my father was passing, was walking along the beach and I had this download, I'll call it. It was like all of a sudden I had this vision of this really, really big thing. Right. And it was like every detail came to me. I went back and I typed it all up and then I mailed it to myself. This is how weird I am. And then I haven't done it yet. So I'm going to put it out there for anybody who wants to help me. The vision is to create a space, to have an actual space, a physical space where we can bring companies, corporate people, as well as underserved youth and a variety of ages and socioeconomic backgrounds and experiences, and come together in this space and then have different speakers come and present a topic and present a challenge and then have us solve the challenge together. Everyone's at the different tables and they're working together to solve the world's problems. And that is what I want. So if anyone out there happens to have a venue that they would like to just, donate to a worthy cause, give me a call.
That's awesome. Awesome. And business wise,
That's the one and the same, because
that's the one and the same.
because it's holistic. It's who I am.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wonderful. And I like, by the way, talking about holistic and nature and humanity and inspiration. I like when you post the your picture of sunrise.
I love my sunrises. Sets my day up for success. Yeah.
Wonderful. Heather, thank you so much spending the time with me today. And I look forward to seeing you soon in person.
Sounds great, Eric. Thank you so much and have a wonderful trip.
Heather, thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing your journey and all the stories that make the elements of adventure. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to connect with me, please do so and follow me on LinkedIn or go to the website eventbusinessformula.com, where you will find a lot of resources to managing, growing your event business. If you enjoyed this conversation, please share it with your network and we'll see you soon. Thank you.